How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and today we're driving an abandoned race car that we got running in 48 hours. Woo! So if you guys are new to the channel, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. And if you do, consider subscribing because today is gonna be fun. This is my 1990 Chevy Camaro Z28 1LE. And the 1LE is what makes this car really special because unlike the Z28 or the V6 variants, this is actually a factory-built race car. This had an AC delete, it had a bunch of performance mods, and this was the hot version. However, this is an SCCA World Challenge winning race car. You can see the livery here, there's a roll cage in there, it has a lot of race car tech in it. This thing would rip on a track if it ran, which it doesn't. But this episode is all about new beginnings and redemption. This barn find wrecked race car is gonna be on the racetrack in 2 days. I've actually reserved the racetrack so we can get this thing on the road. So we have a lot of work ahead of us to get this thing fighting fit. So in order to do that, I partnered with STP, a company that's been in the racing world for decades. So they're the perfect partner to get on board with this project. I'm so excited.
So let's start at the beginning. I moved into my shop almost a year ago, and for as long as I can remember, I saw what looked to be a pretty cool race car in front of the shop across the street. After realizing that it could look even cooler in my shop, I put my big boy pants on and made a lowball $1,500 offer on what looked to be a pretty neglected Camaro. See, I was thinking the guy would laugh me right out of his shop, but instead, he hands me the keys, laughs a little bit, and said, I probably would have taken 500 bucks. It was a ran when parked scenario, but that was many, many moons ago. And now the car had to be pushed into my shop with racing slicks that were dry rotted and flat. But after going home and doing a little bit of in-depth Googling, I stumbled across the car's history, and it turns out 1,500 bucks wasn't too bad of a price at all. You see, this car was originally purchased in Dallas, Texas, and modified by a little company known as LG Motorsports. And in 1991, this car, along with its sister car, won the SCCA World Challenge. And if you don't know what that is, it's a grueling series of endurance races that pit more or less factory stock cars against each other to see who the best driver is. This car was so good that it also won in 92, but was eventually no longer competitive in 93 after the series implemented new safety standards. After that, it just became a track rental vehicle, which means it was treated like a rental. But none of that really mattered because the car was now mine, but I had no idea what to do with it. I tried reaching out to Roadkill, yes, that Roadkill, to see if they want a part of this, and they didn't respond. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and attempt to do this myself. I then enlisted the help of STP because they've been involved with racing basically since racing began, and I figured they would know exactly what I'd need to get this car running and running well.
So even though I do have a history of this car as far as racing pedigree, I don't know anything about a Camaro. I've never worked on one, and I'm super excited to get into it. And this is actually really exciting. All right, this is a heavy hood with nothing to hold it up. Hold on. Sometimes race cars need a little bit of modification, you know? It's called backyard R&D. So we just put that in here. And just put that in there. Boom! Look at that. So this is, I actually don't know how big this engine is. There's some speculation on the internet whether this is a 305 or a 350. I believe it's a 305 because it's mated to a 5-speed manual, which is weird to me. I don't know why the manual wouldn't have a bigger engine, but it's still a V8 small block, and it's gonna make some power, and it's gonna sound awesome if we can get it to run, and that is the whole problem. I don't know why it's not running. I don't know if it turns over. I really haven't tried anything on this car. But in order to get this thing fighting fit for the racetrack in basically 2 days, it's literally 48 hours, I need some help. I actually need a lot of help, and I'm getting a lot of help. Come on, help. It's Jared!
I'm back.
He was the driving force behind my 4-day super build and also the Dust Ball Rally video where we drove Jared's ISF. Now Jared, he's a very, very helpful guy and you guys loved him in the last video. So we're gonna be tag teaming this build in the next 2 days. It's a lot of work. I've never worked on this car before. We don't even know if this thing runs. The engine might be bad.
It can't be that hard. It's never that hard.
Don't ever say that.
Small block Chevy. We go around the corner, we'll find another one. They're everywhere.
Everyone at home, don't do what this man did. He jinxed this entire project. Sorry about this, guys, but it is July in Florida and it is super hot in the shop, so we gotta have this thing on, and I apologize for any wind noise, but if we don't do this, we're basically gonna melt. But Jared is over there, and we have a table full of parts and fluids and lots of repair stuff to make this car run. So what are we gonna do?
Well, first thing you want to do when you've got a car that's been sitting for an unknown amount, fluids are going to absorb water and break down. So we're going to change all of its oil, transmission oil, differential oil. Just going to go through and put fresh fluids through everything. We're going to replace its spark plugs and basic tune-up. The car actually has really nice race wires that are good, so we're just going to do basic tune-up. Obviously need a battery. It doesn't run without power.
Yeah, that's kind of important, right?
These cars are famous that if they sit, the fuel pumps fail.
Yeah.
So preventative, we've got a fuel pump.
Yeah, we got a fuel pump, and if you'll notice, we have all AC Delco, well, mostly AC Delco parts because this is the OEM manufacturer of all these parts. We also have a plethora of STP products, and this is gonna keep our systems, our gas systems, oiling systems, all that stuff running. This is mostly just kind of preventative maintenance and also cleaning what's there. But since this is a race car, it's a little bit different than what you'd usually see on, let's say, a daily driver. This has had really hard mileage. This only has about 14,000 miles, but every single one of those is like super hard.
It's kind of like how I drive my ISF.
So first things first, we have to see if this engine turns, and we have to see if there's any damage internally in order for us to be able to turn it over. So what are we gonna do, Jared?
First things first, we're gonna pull the air box off so we can get to the crank pulley. Thankfully, it's already loose for us.
Oh, that's
magic.
That is magic.
That's that movie magic.
It's actually, this is like junkyard magic.
And then next, we'll just come down onto the crank pulley.
Having a little trouble there.
Yeah, you can't always get it in. Moment of truth, will it turn?
Oh, okay. All right.
All right.
Well, how did that feel? Is it easy? Is it?
No, there's definitely compression.
Okay.
It's smooth.
Yeah.
So as I'm turning, I'm feeling to see if there's any resistance other than compression. So when you're turning an engine that's been sitting, if you're feeling kind of a real rough scraping feeling, that's gonna probably be rust on the cylinder walls. But if it's really smooth and it's just resistance, almost like an air cushion, you're coming up against a compression stroke. If you're trying to restore or recover an engine that's been sitting over a decade or any long period of time, you would actually pull all your spark plugs out, and you can start by squirting rust penetrant, marble
mystery oil, yeah.
Any type of oil down in the cylinders, and just let it sit overnight. Let it get down and start breaking up some of the rust or any of the carbon's actually really bad about just becoming almost like glue too when it sits. Let it sit for a day, then come back and try to turn it by hand. Other things you'll sometimes do as well is pull the distributor on a distributor-driven oil pump and run a drill. And
yeah, so that's this guy back here. I actually don't have any cars with distributors on them, so that's
you have one.
What? Which one?
This one.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I wasn't okay. I'm gonna pull the dipstick.
Yeah. Check for oil.
And we're gonna check for oil and also the quality of said oil. And it shouldn't be too dark. And actually, that looks really good. Let's see if that can focus. Look at that. That's actually really nice. It is a bit over the level, but I mean, it's a race car, so there are tolerances. This oil looks pretty good. Doesn't look like there's any separation or anything like coolant in the oil. So we're gonna put that all the way back in there. And we're gonna call that good. Also, check this out. This has like these Zeus fasteners. These are so you can get this off really quickly. This is a Lexan or polycarbonate or some kind of plastic thing that definitely needs some love.
So,
are you gonna take this off?
Yeah.
Why?
So you can polish it tomorrow. You're good with your hands.
We're just gonna leave that right there. Oh, adding lightness already. Let's just put this on the ground. That looks really cool, actually. You can see the bolt-in roll cage. Now, one reason why this car is no longer allowed in SCCA competitions is because you need a weld-in roll cage. And back in the 90s, I guess that's what they needed to pass tech, but it is a really well-done roll cage. And if you were to weld this in, I think you can still probably use it. Just make sure that the metal is good. I don't know. I'm not a racer. We see an Optima red top that is way past its due date. And we need to take this off. And dude, are you like just taking my entire car apart?
Isn't that what I do?
Yeah, that's what you do. You just, I just wasn't expecting it to be that fast. So this is an El Camaro Mino. Look at that. We're just living it like this. This is the way it's gonna be from now on. This is the jump seat right there.
Okay.
Okay. I will sit here and then wave to the audience. Oh. And I'm not sure if that can be charged or what, but we're just gonna put that off to the side. We do have a new battery.
If we're gonna try to relocate to there, we probably want to run a junction connector.
Yeah.
This would terminate and then we'd have a short lead.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe we could do that if we find the time, but I think for now we'll just run it right here. This is a little makeshift box that there's a piece of wood down here. Oh my God. So fun fact, this car actually has a very rudimentary immobilizer system. This has a chip key in it, and if you don't have this specific key, the car will not start. And it doesn't matter that it's a race car, and it doesn't matter that it was basically made in the late 80s, but this is actually pretty cool, and also very scary, because if I lose this key, then we can't start the car anymore.
You ready for this?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Before you do that, let's make sure that there's not anything connected to, yeah, so that is bad. We're gonna make sure that that's a live wire, so we're just gonna put that.
Not yet.
Well, I mean, if you would have connected that would have been live.
Did you know that was one of the big arguments against back in the day when they're trying to decide DC or AC current?
Yeah, what? What was that?
How much safer DC current was versus AC, and that's what helped prompt the electric chairs to show how dangerous it was.
Yeah, there you go.
Once it goes in the box, it's protected.
Yeah, but before that.
It's just a little sparky. I mean, it'd just be keeping with tradition.
So now we have a fresh battery. I'm gonna put the key in the ignition, neutral, and all right, we got a light on the dash. Light on the dash went off. Whoa.
Make noises.
It made noises. That sounded pretty good. Hold on.
That's a lot of compression.
All right, let's see if we got oil pressure. Actually, we'll see if the oil pressure gauge even works. I'm not sure if any of these gauges work. So let's go. Okay.
It started to climb.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Let's. Oh, there we go.
So we got perfect oil pressure.
Oh, dude, that is like almost 60 psi of oil pressure.
But we have no fuel pressure.
We have no fuel pressure though. That's that might be a problem. So also this oil pressure gauge works. So okay. So we got no fuel pressure, which means
that fuel pump's probably dead.
Yeah, fuel pump's dead.
Well, we can check for spark by spraying some Go Juice.
It's a very dignified way of getting out of this car.
You're about as graceful as a newborn. What are they called?
Gazelle?
Yeah.
It's a little hot in these rhinos. All right, we have found the fluid, and we are about to spray the throttle body. It's pretty cool. There's like two little throttle bodies in there. It's a tuned port injection, and that is a fancy way of saying that it is not very sophisticated. So that should be quite enough. Now I'm going to give this to Jared so he can spray it a little bit if in fact this runs. So let's see. I don't think I have to get in there to start it.
If you can give it a little gas, it would help. There you go.
It's graceful, you know? How do they do this in a race?
They're a lot smaller than we are.
1, 2, 3. Wow. Wow, that was really quick.
I'll tell you what, let's not bother with spraying. Let's bother with figuring out why our fuel pump's not working.
Okay, yeah, dude, that was like that.
Hey, this sounds
really
mean.
Good. It sounded mean. So in order to take out the fuel pump in this car, usually you need to drop the tank, which is located right here, actually underneath everything. So the wheels basically need to come off, and there's a whole rigmarole they have to do. But this is a race car, and they have bestowed upon us a nice, fancy access panel that I think is gonna get us to that fuel pump, because I think they envision that this might be a problem at some point. And I'm not 100% on this. This could just lead to nothing, but I'm thinking if we just take out the rivets, we'll get access to that fuel pump and we can change it a lot faster than dropping the tank. Even though, with our luck, we'll probably need to drop the tank and there's gonna be broken bolts and whatever. Let's see if this works. You just have a 1/4-inch drill bit.
Oh, you got the rivet tip stuck on.
Hate when you get the
Tip stuck.
All right, let's see what this has in. Okay.
Well, that's not what I wanted to see.
Nah, it's not very good.
They made an access hole, but it's not big enough.
Power's getting in here, but fuel is not coming out. This whole thing needs to come out. That's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So
Let's get under.
you wanna tag team this thing, or you want me to handle it, or how do you wanna do it?
Let's just both get it done so then we can get under the engine bay and get to driving.
Let's do it. I know that fuel pumps usually work really well when there's fuel in the tank. That wasn't the case, was it?
No,
Yeah.
for some reason I thought the owner of the vehicle had already tested adding fuel, so I jumped over that.
The owner of the vehicle has tested 0. If you're referring to me, I've tested nothing.
Same note, we did off camera, we applied power to the fuel pump to force it to run, and
It didn't do anything.
It was dead.
Yeah.
The
So-
fuel pump was in a dead short as we were testing it. It sparked, so the pump was bad, and actually it not having gas just makes it easier.
Right.
That's a crispy O-ring.
Okay, let's get the new fuel pump on. And also we should probably get some fuel.
That'll help.
That'll
Just a little bit.
A little bit. So take a look at this. This right here is not what you want a fuel hose to look like. This is kinked, and when fuel gets sucked up into the system, this produces quite a bit of restriction. So we need to replace that. Thankfully, we have a brand new one that we can use on our new fuel pump. So this is actually very straightforward. It's not bad at all.
No, it's-
and I think that this is like the actual problem of why the car wasn't running.
Burnt up fuel pump, no gas.
Got nothing. Nope. Yeah, here is 9 volts. That's the middle, but the outside does not have any voltage. So we need to chase down.
Why we lost fuel pump.
Yeah. This is getting more interesting by the second. All right, Jared, we got a lot of work done, a little bit off camera because we had to do some diagnostics.
Almost 30-year-old race car with some history has had some band-aids along its way, and we weren't getting power back at our fuel pump. It would sometimes come through, but not consistently. So we started chasing up to the relay. The relay wasn't getting power. Looking at the repair manual, the factory wiring diagram, which always isn't the best thing to do in a custom application, but we're like, all right, let's use it as a baseline. This is our fan control relay and a fuel pump relay. The fan control relay has been modified, so as soon as the key's turning on, instead of waiting for the ECU to switch it on, it just runs, which isn't a bad thing to do on a race car.
Yeah, you always want it to be as cool as possible.
Correct. Next to it's the fuel pump relay. It's had some weird splicing in it, but we kept chasing and not getting power here. This orange wire shares power to the ECU. With the car running, we assumed the ECU was getting power.
Basically what we did was we measured continuity, so that means that there's no physical breaks in the wire, and we checked all the fuses There's a fuse box underneath there, and there's a ton of splices just all around the car, but nothing seemed too suspect.
Yeah, not yet. So but in the diagram, it showed right next to the battery for that orange wire having a fuse. We couldn't find it. Battery's been relocated, so there was some questionable wiring there that we were testing. And then that's when we came back to the engine bay, and finally, we found tucked up pretty much where it's supposed to be, the little fuse holder. And we measured on the output side, it had continuity to all of our orange wires.
And the fuse was good. It wasn't a blown fuse or anything.
But we weren't getting power into it.
Yeah.
So that's when I looked down, and this was the wire, the connector that would regularly be disconnected because it would shut the fans off.
Yes.
Well, it turns out that's also our power bus to
Yeah.
give power to the fuse to run the fuel pump.
Okay.
So now, fuel pump works.
Well, we actually haven't tried the fuel pump yet.
True. It primes.
Yeah.
You get priming power.
Yeah. So let's see if the fuel pump actually does work. So I'm gonna.
Are you plugged in back there?
No, no. So turn the key off. Usually you wouldn't want to run a pump dry, but this is only for a few seconds, so it should be okay just to see that everything is running as it should.
All right. Get a nice close up so you can hear it.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep. There we go. What if that is like actually working? Because we never tested it.
Smell it again. There, smell it, everyone.
Yeah, okay, that smells really, really bad. We don't want to use that.
You can tell Fred is dead.
Yes, yes.
Fred being your friendly, reliable electronic device. Somebody let the smoke out of Fred.
Now, all we have to do is put everything back, fill it with gas, and hopefully this thing is gonna run.
Roar into life, and then it's just a bunch of maintenance. And
yeah, then we just like, we just clean it up. Honestly, I was looking at the brakes here, and this is not bad at all. This is just some surface rust, and if you notice, these are drilled rotors, so they're a little bit more, let's say, high performance than what you would usually get, and there's a lot of life left on these pads, so there's no lip on these. Usually when there's a lip, that's when you know that they need to be changed. These look like they're in good shape, and they're not pitted, which is a great thing. So I think this is like, we could just kind of drive on these or just like clean them up with some steel wool.
So what we'll probably do is just do brake clean light steel wool, and we'll do 1 or 2 siding laps.
Yeah.
Where you're more or less idling around the track and braking heavily to burn the rust off.
We can just take it down the street and then just see if this comes off a little bit.
Well, we are close to Mexico since the car's not registered.
Mexico is down the street. All right, so we have reached the moment of truth. We will now fill this thing up with gas, and that's pretty much it. Except for the fact that I'm actually gonna be cleaning the fuel system while I'm doing it. And I'm using this super concentrated fuel injector cleaner by STP. What this does is it cleans up all the carbon deposits that may have amounted in however many miles this car has had. And the fact that this has been running really, really hard its entire life. I have no idea what that engine has in it. I have no idea what the fuel system has in it. And judging by that fuel pump, it wasn't very good. So we changed the fuel filter, and the fuel tank is completely dry. So we're gonna fill it up with 15 gallons of premium, and we're also gonna use the super concentrated cleaner. This is something I wanted to do because this car is gonna see a lot of tanks of gas through it, and I wanted to make sure that this fuel system is running 100%. So I'm gonna put in 5 gallons, and then I'm gonna put this in, and then the rest I'm gonna put in, and then it should kind of self-mix from there. And then we're gonna start it up, and it's gonna run, right? Right, Jared?
Absolutely.
Jared said absolutely. It's gonna
I'm never
run.
wrong.
Jared's never wrong. That's not true. I could get the good jugs, but these are cheap, and also they spill gas everywhere. So that's good. Hey, we're leaking already. Look at that. So let's read the instructions, and you just dump it in. And I have some octane booster. So what octane booster does is it prevents knock, and it just raises the octane level of the gas. And we already have premium gas. This is probably not tuned for premium, but it can't hurt. I don't know what's been through the engine, so you know, it can't hurt. There's high performance detergents, octane booster, and jet fuel. I think jet fuel is a running theme with STP, and as you know, jet fuel is always good to have in your car. Boom, speed fill.
So at this point, we've lost about 15 minutes on the track. All of our competition has passed us.
We got octane booster, and we got fuel injector cleaner. The cleanest fuel system in the whole race.
I drive like a pissed off teenager on the track, so that always works too.
Please don't crash this car. I am nervous. Is everything connected?
Yeah, everything is connected. I feel a vibration.
Feel a vibration?
Let me go underneath. Check for leaks down here.
Yeah.
All right, that's all of our fittings. They look good. Fuel filter that Freddie did is nice and dry. And nothing is puking up there.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
We had power, what happened? Try again.
Whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa.
All right, I'll run the throttle.
I can run the throttle. Okay.
Woo!
Yeah!
There she goes.
We have a race car!
We did. Hey! There are no fluids pouring out of it.
Dude, that's awesome. We got 40 PSI of fuel pressure. We have 70 PSI of oil pressure. And water temp is coming up, and that's registering. And we have our tachometer. Oh, dude! This is gonna sound so amazing.
It's gonna be great.
This is gonna be awesome. So we have our oil pressure registering there, and we have battery voltage, and alternator works. We got this car running, man.
We do. So oil change, transmission change, coolant change, and then we make it pretty and we go racing.
Yeah. Ooh. Ah. Woo! It's going everywhere except in the pan. All right. Perfect. Welcome everybody to day 2. The sun is shining outside and the race car is, well, it's running. Not right now because we took out all of the fluids last night and Jared is already getting underneath the car to put in all the new stuff. Now coming to the engine, it's a little bit more interesting than we once thought because the oil pan is not stock. The oil pan is actually quite large. I'm gonna show you. The oil pan is this big guy right here. And you can tell it is a custom job. And how many quarts do you think that this holds?
I'm guessing that's probably an extra 2 quarts, and it's also, instead of running a factory short filter, it was running the much taller 1 quart capacity filter, so we have probably 3.5.
So yeah, like 3.5 extra quarts, so we had to do a parts run and get more oil. Right now, you're just gonna do, what, a fluid transfer into the transmission right here?
Yep. And then we got oil, brake fluid, and it's ready to drive.
And then we can take it for a test drive. I'm still waiting on the tires. These tires are not great. It's just gonna be a shakedown run to see if anything is falls off. So here is the exhaust. It is very rusty. There are turn downs over there. Jared, don't you dare say it.
What?
Don't say it.
I'm just saying what? You can
Don't
turn down?
Don't say it.
For what?
Jared, I hate you.
All right, it is oil change time, and this is actually pretty easy. We already changed the oil filter. The oil filter was a lot bigger than what the stock recommends, but what the engine recommends is that we use 5W30 engine oil. And I always want to go with what the manufacturer recommends as far as oil. However, this is a race motor, and we don't know what kind of oil life it's had. We don't know if there's sludge inside. I sort of doubt it because engines that run at full throttle all the time usually don't have a ton of sludge buildup because they change their oil fairly regularly. So we're gonna go with the 5W30, we're gonna go with a synthetic, and in order to have this engine rev out and have as much protection as possible, we're gonna use STP's synthetic oil treatment. And it's pretty interesting because it carries an additive called ZDDP, and that is zinc diallic dithiophosphate, which means that this is now protected against any sort of friction. It's a very, very good protection against any sort of metal on metal, and especially with something that is gonna see high RPMs and high loads all the time. Even when that oil wants to break down, this is gonna stop it from doing that. Now this also has a base stock oil, which does not dilute the engine oil. So some people might think that this is just a heavyweight engine oil. It's not. There's a lot in it, and it's lab tested and it works. So I want to make sure that we have the best thing for our race engine. So I'm just gonna put in 5 quarts of the 5W30, and since we have a bigger oil pan, I'm just gonna give 1 quart at a time, and then I'm gonna check the dipstick because I actually don't know what the capacity is for this. So now you can watch an exciting montage of watching me put oil in an engine. Lucky you.
All right, Freddie just got some oil put in, so we're getting ready to prime the oil system. On these GM cars, it's real easy. You can disconnect your ignition coil, pop those 2 wires off, and it's not going to spark. And since we know this will actually shut down the fuel pump, we've got that disconnected, so we can go ahead and prime safely without it trying to start. Not there yet. Not yet. Come on. There she goes. All right, so now we got plenty of oil pressure. The system's primed. Hook me up there.
All right, I will hook you up right here. Okay.
Now, does she come back to life just as quick? Like butter.
So you guys might have noticed that we did put in new air filters. Jared kind of just shoved them in there while I wasn't looking. We have a new serpentine belt. The oil is changed. We have the STP oil additive. We have STP in the gas. We have octane booster. We have a new fuel pump. We have new fuel filter, new fuel, and everything's new fluids. All we have to do is lead the brakes, test drive. This isn't awkward. There's nothing awkward about this. I don't see what you're talking about here, man. This is so graceful. Okay.
All right, give me a couple pumps and hold that thing down.
Just hold on, man. You're so demanding.
I thought you were already in.
1, 2. Oh. Hey, you know what you might want to do?
What?
Maybe you want to close the
I'll
reservoir.
just set it on. Was it squirting?
Yeah, it squirted all over.
Why did you do that?
You said pump. I pumped. Brake fluid all over my race car, Jared. Down. Whoa, just went to the floor. Is that normal?
Yeah. So when you open up the bleeder, you're releasing all the hydraulic pressure to push air out.
Uh-oh.
So you can release the pump.
Should I take it out?
Yeah.
Release. Come up.
Come up.
Up.
Uh-huh.
And then give me 3 pumps.
1, 2, 3. You know what would work really well in this car? AC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a fan of any kind. Yeah. You know what we should do? Does this have? Okay, this has a cigarette lighter. We can get one of those little
Trucker,
fans.
the little trucker
fans.
oscillating.
Yeah, we should do that. Yeah.
Or we could do a cool suit.
I don't have the money for a cool suit because I spent all the money on the car.
So we just get vinyl tubing and buy a really cheap linen shirt and you stitch.
That sounds like a whole thing, man.
The tubing?
I have my foot down right now.
Oh.
It's actually my
No, you don't.
my leg's burning. Yeah, it's down.
You forgot to pump it.
You didn't tell me to pump
I said
it.
go up, pump.
No, you didn't say that. You started talking about cool suits. So everyone, that is how you bleed brakes. We are not done at all. Not even on one wheel. And it's like that, except a long, long time. Long time.
All right, so what are we about to do?
We're about to drive, well, I'm about to drive my race car for the very first time. I'm not gonna go crazy. These tires are not good. They are dry rotted and they're also bald, so this is just to make sure it goes into gears. I'm not giving it any power or anything like that. This is gonna be just to see if the car is not literally falling apart.
You can give it a little power.
I'm not gonna give it any power.
Spin the wheels.
I'm not gonna spin the wheels.
It's the best chance. Hard, dry rotted race tires.
Yeah, it's the best chance for them to explode too. All right. This is very comfortable, but okay, then you gotta just slam it, right? There we go. Now we put this guy over here.
Now, the special feature of this
Check this out.
is they took the factory seatbelt buckle from the car.
And you just,
They modified it into the window net.
okay, so this is how you drive your race car for the very first time. Hey, did you know the dead pedal was made of wood? Can you go in the Supra and can you get the fire extinguisher?
You don't trust it?
I do not trust this car, no. All right, we got fuel pressure, oil pressure, and we got temperature. So, it goes into first gear, power steering works.
It's moving! Does it stop? Does it stop? Does it stop? You got brake lights.
Brake lights? Yeah. All right, we got ourselves a car. The steering is very interesting, let's say that. All right, into second. Very smooth. Into third. Everything's flying around. This car does not have a ton of power. I think stock it's like 230 horsepower. Let's see if I can give it a little bit. It'll break the tires loose. Wow, that's some torque right there. Oh, man. So, these tires, zero grip. Zero. The second you go for throttle, sideways. So it'd be awesome as a drift car, but man, there is no sort of control at all.
My turn before we wash it.
If you want, just be very careful.
Just be very careful.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this.
All right, let's see how she does.
So we can scare
tires are completely useless. Now granted, race tires like temperature, but that feels like they're just really old and hard. This is gonna be a fun car when we get it on the track.
Oh, that looks so awesome. How does it drive? How do you like it?
So tires are a little bit
Bad.
sketchy.
They're not good.
I think there's two things going on with our tires. One, it's a race compound that needs temperature. Two, they're rolled and rock hard.
Looking at the brakes here, and they are already, all the rust is off. All the rust is off of them, so.
I wasn't hard on it at all.
Yeah, so
There's no footage at all to prove.
Yeah, let's get this thing cleaned up.
All right, sounds good.
Guys, oh my gosh, take a look at this car. This thing looks amazing. It looks so much better than what we started out with just a day ago. These wheels and tires, they look just spectacular. I love the patina. I love the race pedigree. I love the race history. You can see that it's had some damage. It's had some hard miles, but this thing looks really good. Dude, you are the MVP. You did so much work. This thing looks, what do you think?
I like the mechanical side better. We spent less time actually fixing it than we did trying to make this look as good as it does.
I did do a little bit of work off camera, just buffing the paint a little bit, and it's not perfect in any way. I mean, the paint has been, this is probably a parking lot job, but it looks fantastic. It's just, dude, we did this in a day.
We did it in a day.
In a day, and it's running better than it has in many, many years. And you spent a lot of time on this rear Lexan canopy, and it looks really good. Obviously, this is just sun-baked and damaged, and you'd have to probably replace this whole panel. But now you can see through it. Yeah, this is not a yellowing mess. So another thing off camera that happened was my wife showed up and she completely cleaned the interior. We painted some stuff that needed painting, and it's white in the back, it's black where it needs to be, and it just looks fantastic. Now obviously we couldn't do things like replace the seats. The seat is still a little bit worn, but it's a lot cleaner, and the dash is like an actual car now. It's I'm very impressed. We wiped down the dash, and it brought back a lot of the shine. Like a lot of the plastics here, they're still in decent enough shape where it's not falling apart.
We have a race car.
We have a race car.
Well, you have a race car.
No, we have a race car. And you know what we're gonna do with our race car?
You're gonna drive it first.
I'm gonna drive it first.
So you get to drive it.
And then what's gonna happen?
I'm gonna keep all four on the ground.
Okay. Okay.
That's my goal for the end of the day.
That's your goal, just to keep
all
four wheels on the ground. And hopefully that thing doesn't explode and there's no major damage anywhere, right?
There'll be no major damage. Nothing we can't fix in a day.
Okay, I don't want to fix this anymore. I'm very tired.
There's one more thing we have to fix.
What is it?
There's a part of this car's dirty past that is its past.
What are you talking about?
She is no longer going to be rented out for amateurs to beat on her.
Are you about to modify our...
We're doing one modification of all of its vinyls. She can't be for rent anymore.
Oh no. We can't go back, man. That's like... Okay.
Now it's ent me.
No, okay, well, now it's ent me. Good job, Jared. Thank you so much. Hey, Jared, is it hot?
Yeah. And sunny. Just a little.
I mean, it is the sunshine state.
Yeah. I thought it was...
Did you think that there was going to be less sun?
I just thought there'd be a breeze. But then I forgot. We're in the middle of Florida where we don't get the ocean breeze.
I can... There you go, that's a breeze. So usually what happens at the end of a build like this is we take it on a test drive. But since this is a race car after all, I figured we take it to a racetrack. And I know no better racetrack to put this car through its paces than the Florida International Rally and Motorsports Park, known as the Firm. And you guys will have known this track as the one that I took my Ford Explorer drift build. But since we're here and the car is here, I figured we could give it the most grueling test drive ever.
In Florida, in July, in the middle of the day, the car's black, we're wearing black.
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
Yeah.
Ah, that's nice. Since we're in a race car, we do need to have some safety precautions. So we have gloves, we have a helmet, and we have our harness protection. I'm not sure how exactly protective these harnesses are, but let's just say that it's better than nothing. If it worked in the 90s, it could work today. Put these across like this. Boom. Boom. There should be one underneath here. Hopefully I don't get demonetized for that one. And this is the one that prevents submarining. So 5-point, ow. Car is very hot. Good to go. All right, fire in the hole. Woo! Let's do it. Oh, I forgot one thing. Whoa. Now it's a race car. Wow. This feels like it's at home. Let's see how those new Toyota tires feel. Wow! The brakes need a little bit of heat now. a little, I just saw the fuel pressure go down a little bit. Our fuel pressure, the more I accelerate, the more it goes down. That's not great. Other than that, oil pressure seems fine. Something's up with the fuel pressure. We have to take it in to the bits. Something's up with the fuel pressure. So, look, it's at 40 now. Goes down to 20. I still think that's a win because 2 days ago we had this car, it was non-running, and now it just completed a lap. I call that a win. We just have to do a little bit more minor tweaking to get this thing actually race ready, and it's gonna be awesome. So Jared is gonna try to take a lap, and we're gonna take a look at what that looks like. Please don't break my car.
No fuel pressure.
No. All I wanted to do was
Well, wait.
I drive like a pissed off teenager on the track, so that always works too.
Please don't crash this car. Just be very careful. I do not trust this car. No, don't break my car. Explain to me what exactly just happened. You installed a kill switch, right?
No.
In order for me not to have any fuel pressure? Because that's what I'm thinking happened.
No, the fuel pressure still dropped. You just couldn't go full throttle. You had to roll and drive around your fuel pressure and carry every ounce of speed you could into the corners. I carried it a little hot and got some good sidestep action for you. This car is amazing. And
It really is.
It's giving us every little glimpse of how and why it won so many races back in 91 and 92.
Yeah, you can definitely tell this has some pedigree.
It wants to give us everything. Even when I was dumb and wheel hopped the car, it still pointed where I wanted and was gonna give me the corner.
Do you think it'll do a burnout?
All right, let's give it one shot.
Let's give it one shot. Let's try. Oh boy!
Come on, a little more.
All right, so Jared, our day is over, and apparently I can't park.
That's okay.
What did you think?
I love that car. It's even with its fuel pressure dropping issue, not being able to give 100%.
It didn't seem like it was a problem for you.
It still gave like 100%. So
Yeah.
the power wasn't there, but it just was so amazing to drive. Because you stop and think 1990s solid axle Camaro. You picture burnouts, drag racing. You do not at any point picture a car that's going to throw itself into a corner and just be good at it. And it's more than good. That was great and so much fun to just try to sling around, not even at full power.
You know what's really interesting? That car won so many races and the tire compound was not as advanced as what we have on it right now. So that had more, you know, sliding, that had, like, it was a lot more, let's say, out of control.
Yeah.
And it really performed wonderfully. I mean, even it's had a few of its body panels changed and there's a lot of dents and stuff, but it's a well-sorted car.
It's phenomenal. Again, we probably were let down by the fuel cell foam. I think that's what clogged our fuel.
Yeah,
pump,
most likely, but that's a really easy fix. But the reason why we didn't do that is just because we don't have the tools here, and there's a full tank of gas in there,
yeah.
And we don't want to get gas all over this beautiful track. So,
but awesome car, real quick, easy fix, and it'll be back out setting some pretty impressive laps.
yeah, I think so too. So we have to get this back on the trailer for its next, well, for the next step in this story, because it's not over yet.
All right, so it's the day after the racetrack, and we're starting to finalize the fuel pressure issue, and our suspicions of it being the foam is gonna be correct. That's the actual fuel cell foam meant to keep fuel from sloshing, and it should not be in your fueler neck at all.
Yeah, this is not good. So that's going to be everywhere in the tank.
Yeah, so thankfully the fuel pump sock's going to have caught everything, but we need to drop it. We have a new rule, right?
Yeah, so the rule is if Jared's gut says that we should probably do something even though we'll be fine, we should probably do it, because he said, hey, this foam is coming apart, but it should be all right, maybe. And turns out it's not.
Drop the tank, we'll clean it up, and she won't get to go back to the track with us.
Yeah.
We'll do some driving around here.
But the next owner is gonna definitely track this car, and we want to make sure the next owner gets a good value and also a running car, right?
We've gotten the tank out and starting the fun process of actually draining all the gas. And as you can see, that foam definitely came apart. Pickup strainer was fully clogged. It got so bad that the pump actually deadheaded against the fuel filter. It blew its line off eventually, and it's just a mess. Kind of hard to fully record in there, but you can see all those nice loose particles that used to be solid fuel cell foam and are now perfect for clogging fuel filters and fuel pumps. After quite a few hours of degassing the tank and working through, we have got almost all that foam out. So we're gonna slam in that fuel pump, change out the fuel filter, refill it with some fresh gas, and that Camaro race car is gonna be up and running again. One thing you'll notice is we didn't film cleaning all the foam out. It's one of the things that working with a gas tank is really dangerous, and I don't want to do something that you may try to follow and take a shortcut on and risk injuring yourself. The main thing is you need to flood a tank. Some people will use water. I like to use a lot of CO2. You can use exhaust gas, but either way, if you're not familiar with working in a gas tank, don't do it. They can be bombs, and anything you do wrong will probably kill yourself. So I didn't show it because I don't want you guys accidentally hurting yourselves. But we got a clean gas tank, ready for a fuel pump, and ready to get that Camaro back running.
Jared's taking it out for a little test drive. How does she feel?
100% again.
Oh yeah!
Got a race car again.
Awesome. Well guys, it's another day. It's a bit bittersweet for me because the car is leaving. And I know you guys like to see these projects from beginning to end. This is the end of the project. However, it's not the end for this car because this car is going to a very good home. This is gonna be a chump car. And it's gonna be raced by my friend Bruce at Maranello Autosport, and he has a race trailer ready to go. I loved working on this car, and I can't wait to see what it has in store. Wait, before you close it, I got one last thing to put on here before it goes.
Sticker.
That's cool.
Bam! Thank you to STP for sponsoring this, and thank you, Bruce, for getting this awesome car off my hands. What are you planning to do with it?
Who knows? Some track events, some good times, and if something interesting comes up, something charitable, whatever makes it fun.
Awesome. I bought this car for around $1,500 and we put around $1,000 into it, and Bruce basically gave me what I'm into it, but that money is going to go to Spina Bifida of Jacksonville, and they are a good charity that works with the Amelia Island Concord. They do a lot of good work for kids in the area. So this car is doing good already, and definitely follow Bruce. You have an Instagram and Facebook page?
Yes, we do. My lovely assistant, Alicia, with all the info.
Are you the social media person?
Yes, I'm everything back office. Everything you need to know, just call me.
Awesome.
We make them go, she makes us show.
Yes.
That's the way it works.
But you work on high dollar stuff, not this stuff,
Yeah,
right?
this is fun. We do Ferrari, Maserati, Lamborghini, fun stuff.
Awesome. So I definitely want to go by your shop and show some people.
Welcome, Freddie. Always welcome. 'Cause
Awesome.
You do it in the same vein, and you're doing some pretty cool things you do. So.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. So thank you to STP for sponsoring this video. Thank you to Bruce. Thank you to Jared. And thank you to all of you for watching this and supporting my channel. But until next time, this is me reminding you that on cars like this that are now getting a race pedigree of their own after their initial race pedigree, you guys need to wrench every day.